Hey everybody, Puffin here. Thanks for watching. I'll start this off by saying, Go Joe! Joe Biden's taken over as president and he's already knocking it out of the park left and right. I've been wanting to make this video for a couple weeks now just to go ahead and acknowledge some of the things he's been doing. And it's just more every day. So now it's the 17th day of Joe Biden being president, and 17 is the number of Kuan Yin, the goddess of compassion, my goddess. And I wanted to mention my goddess I worship in the form of Lady Gaga. Wanted to mention the compassion because that's what we've been missing in America and what we've been missing in our government. And what is so drastic about the way Joe has been governing is by adding compassion, it changes everything. And when he is changing everything. So I wanted to try to enumerate some of the things that have been done. We've all been in the pandemic lockdown quarantine status for, this is starting the 12th month now, so almost a full year. And we're kind of so used to it in some ways that it's, feels kind of normal. And I wouldn't forget to mention it, but I want to go ahead and mention it up front and kind of acknowledge that, because hopefully there'll be a future pretty soon when things won't be quite like this and people will look back on this time and wonder what it's like. Alternatively, I guess it could get worse. There could be more and more viruses and things like that keep us inside for an extended period of time, and people will look back when it was only a year and think, well, you know, they thought they were almost through with it at almost a year, but really we could be. And it is largely thanks to Joe Biden for his efforts and, the whole team, everybody. But let's just say go Joe and give credit to Joe for what he's doing and what he represents and what it represents to be going completely against what Trump was doing. Because I guess one of the first news that came out was something like, Joe Biden opened the envelope of Trump's virus plan and there was nothing in it. But it was, worse than nothing in it. I don't really know what that news story was. That was the impression I got a few days after he took over. But a month ago, there was a report that Trump's plan was to produce herd immunity, which means basically just let old people and sick people and people with compromised immune systems die. Like, let everybody get the virus and let the people who die from it die and whatever. Let the chips fall where they may type of thing. Really, which was a plan for genocide. The only country that tried to do that officially was Sweden, and within like a week or two said, okay, we're not doing that anymore. Switched it around. We officially did it. Like, the officials in America did that. That was their plan. It wasn't what they said they were doing necessarily all the time, but it was their plan. And that's been revealed from some reporting I saw from Chris Hedges on YouTube. He's from MSNBC, but I saw the reporting on YouTube. So check that out if you haven't heard. Basically, he wanted to infect everybody he possibly could, which was my reading of it from just the way he was trying to just kill people. I thought he would probably get paid by Putin to do so. But, Trump is gone, or he could still be goner. That would be good if people would finish the prosecution of him and stuff. But we still need to fix the problems that he caused. And that's what's so exciting about what Joe Biden's been doing, is he's been fixing some problems. So regarding the virus, he's, requested or ordered up a bunch more vaccines. He's, just today the news was that he's mobilized the army to help administer the vaccines and help run the vaccine centers, make more outposts and things like that, besides, expanding distribution into more locations. So all these things that are going to help people actually get vaccinated. Also things related to the virus, extending unemployment benefits, making it easier for people to get stimulus benefits, things like that. Making a program for people who have been cheated out of some stimulus benefits from their tax, from like H&R Block or TurboTax or something, have kept people's stimulus payments, giving people a way to recover those. All sorts of good things that are going to help the economy. Just heard somebody on the radio today saying, people are not going to say in the future, they did too much. There's no way they can say the government did too much to help people in the time of this pandemic. The only thing they'll say is, why didn't they do more? So we can do more. Part of the $1.3 trillion pandemic aid package, I believe, is releasing funds that were already just part of the budget deal, part of the the technical official stuff they have to do, is releasing funds they'd already maybe put aside, or maybe even more funds for Puerto Rico for hurricane relief from years ago. So before I move on from the virus, just the fact that this is helping everybody hopefully overcome the virus. I mean, helping the whole country overcome the virus in the best, most responsible way possible, and the way, ways that should have been done months ago. Many of these things could have been done months ago. Paying people as much as you can to keep people at home as much as you can is just sensible policy. So we're finally doing things like that, but also doing so much more. I was just reviewing some of the executive orders Biden has made, and it's 5 pages with maybe 8 or 10 different things on each page so far. So plenty of different things going on, including making addressing climate change a priority. And that's really the root of the virus problem, if you understand it, that while the seasons and everything are getting mixed up, these viruses are able to jump species that previously were kept in balance by the seasons that we've messed up with global warming. And of course, there's plenty of other problems that global warming causes as well. So getting back to actually addressing that, and the things you have to do that, such as getting off of fossil fuels, things like that, are just the whole way of the future. Canceling future contracts with, or not renewing any contracts with private prison companies. Now, hopefully those contracts are already up soon, or they can go ahead and start getting out of them, instead of it just being like a feel-good thing if the next administration or some other administration reverses it before it actually takes effect. But symbolically, and a start. Now, that relates to one of the biggest issues that got Biden elected, is racial justice. And there are processes in place, really stemming from the Capitol insurrection, for rooting out, and I think they're putting forth aggressive policies to root out KKK and white supremacists and neo-Nazis and Trumpers. That's all the same thing, by the way, who have invaded our security forces, both the Army and police forces. Honestly, if you remove all the KKK from ICE, Immigration, Customs, whatever, enforcement, if you remove all the KKK members of ICE, it's gone. There's no more ICE. I mean, you can do those jobs, or some version of those jobs, the ones that might actually need to be done, if any, with different people. But you're going to yank all those people, because there was like 12,000 of them in a KKK Facebook group, and there's only 9,000 current employees. It's like, rife with KKK and ICE and some other organizations. You might as well just cancel them, or just, redo them altogether. So they're starting that process, and I think the people will insist on seeing that through to the end. But also, it's kind of where the trail is going to lead. Like, you're going to go after these people who invaded the Capitol, but you're also going to go after people who motivated them. And some of those people are going to talk and turn on some other people. You're going to expose those networks and bring those networks down. And it's going to include a lot of police officers and people in, associated organizations, those types of organizations that you're going to change drastically just by removing KKK, Trumpers, stuff like that from our security forces. So that's a good start. There's also specific executive orders about non-discrimination, not being able to discriminate against people for all the things that Trump was trying to discriminate against people for. One of the first orders was not having racist travel bans, things like that, or undoing what was left of those bans that Trump was trying to put forward. But other things too, within the workforce, overturning the ban on transgender serving in the military, all sorts of good things for social justice getting started. Thanks, Joe. Good job. Executive order to stop the Dakota Access Pipeline. Now, this is one that's kind of personal and touchy, because Obama, had this option a year or two before he left office, and he made it something like, we should kick this to the next president. We should let the voters decide on this pipeline. Well, at least Joe has had the wisdom of those 5 years, since then, 5-6 years since then, to cancel it like day one. And I feel like, I know that he really did cancel it, because you can hear the conservatives whining about it immediately, and there are 3,000 jobs. I just want to make this point. 3,000 people can get other jobs. You can actually make probably more money building wind turbines and stuff like that for the green economy, for green energy. But 3,000 people's jobs are not more important than the health of the entire planet. Saving the entire planet, saving our water supply, stuff like that. Now, the water protectors movement, there's water protectors and the movement that started based on them, that was 6 years ago and still going. And this is a victory for everyone. But also, this is a movement that sparked a lot of the other movements. People want to call the Black Lives Matter protests, say that they started with Black Lives Matter protests have been going on for decades. They didn't have that name, but they've been going on for decades because these atrocities have been going on for decades. But the water protectors got people so aware socially, on social media and stuff, so aware around the world of the cause that I think it really lit other people in various other forms of activism, from Greta Thunberg to Black Lives Matter protesters and to gun rights protesters, or not gun rights protesters, right to be able to live through a school day protesters, protesters for gun laws. All these people were inspired by all the people who were inspired by the water protectors. So all of this comes back to that, and while Obama should have done a better job then, I did want to make the point that one cool thing about Joe having tried to be president like 3 times, or been part of this system for 70 years or something, is that he's a better president now than he would have been if he'd become president, when he was running against Obama. And when I met 3 of his delegates, I was an Obama delegate, but I met 3 Joe Biden delegates out of the entire state convention, which was kind of interesting. And they were all related. They were brothers and sisters. But they were really nice. But, it just made you think, well, Joe Biden didn't have that type of, support back then. But in the time before that, who knows? But I know he ran before that, and he wouldn't have been as good a president if he'd won those times. He seems like he's going to be a damn good president now. So I'm really glad that we have this old, wiser Joe Biden in office right now. To mention some other things he's done. I mean, it's just, it's every day. It's all sorts of good stuff. I knew I would forget something because it's so much, but I've mentioned some of the big ones that I wanted to mention. So I apologize. Just if I didn't say specifically, addressing global warming, like the commitment to get back into the Paris Accord. Things like that are super important. Joe Biden's already done that in the first couple days. So go Joe, keep it up. We're going to make the most of it too. Oh, let me just point out, Bernie Sanders running the budget committee. So they're doing the reconciliation or whatever they need to do so that they don't need Republican agreement for this stuff. It's like, we're getting what needs to be done. When you guys had the ball and ran it as far into the genocide end zone as you could, we're taking it the other way now, and we're going to win this thing. We're going to beat the virus, we're going to beat the oppression, and we're going to beat the evil that threatens our whole world. So thanks, America. Thanks, everybody, not just Americans, but everybody around the world supporting, progressive movements and protest and speaking out for saving the world. So thanks, everybody, and thanks, Joe. Go, Joe. And thanks for watching. Stay tuned.